What's up, guys? So here's the answers to the questions. Probably a world record turnaround for me for Q&A at 6:30 in the morning, so excuse my grogginess and lack of reading ability. Brandon Campbell, favorite retro system and top 3 games. Favorite system, Super Nintendo. Had a great selection of games. The graphics, while not super advanced, they were advanced for their time. They still hold up really well today. Top 3 games, I'm going to go across all platforms for the top 3 games. I'm going to say Generation 1 Pokemon, Red, Blue, Yellow, for Game Boy. Classic favorite. I still play that from time to time. Bubble Bobble for NES. And then number 3, I would have to think really, really long and hard. That's what she said about that. So, sorry to disappoint, but 2 is all I could come up with off the top of my head. 6:30 a.m. Next, I'm going to kind of lump these 2 together. This Manus, M-Anus. What's your favorite powerlifting programs you've done, and what advice can you give me for bulking? And then Ruben Ariano, I hope I didn't butcher your name. Touch base on programs, methods you've done, pros and cons, how your meat prep programming went, the layout, frequency of comp lifts, percentage of RPE used, tweaks you made as you progress through your prep. Did you use 10/20 life for your meat prep guideline? Assuming you asked that because you've seen me wearing some 10/20 life shirts. No, I didn't use it. Those guys are cool. I've talked to Jonathan Bird, Danny Vega on many occasions. I like those guys, what they got going on over there. They're pretty legit. They had a sale on t-shirts. I needed t-shirts. Why not give my money to somebody who promotes powerlifting and what we do? So, yeah, I like those guys. I don't use their methods right now. I've never done a cookie cutter powerlifting program, so I can't say... I can't really speak on that because I've never done a cookie cutter powerlifting program. Last year I was being coached by Dustin Reed, and we did kind of he's a firm believer in the compensatory acceleration training, CAT, and that did wonders for my deadlift. And that's something that I use now in my own programming, in my off season and stuff, to help move things along. As far as my meat prep, I've got a pretty generic meat prep laid out that I've used a couple times. It's basically 12 weeks. First 4 weeks are 5x5, second 4 weeks are 3x3. Last 4 weeks are singles and speed work. My first week 1 of 5x5s, I picked something that I know I can 5x5 pretty easily. And on my 5th set, should it be there, I'll do 6 or 7 or 8 reps if I started that easy, and then base my next week off of that, jumping 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds as I see fit, to the point where my 4th week of 5x5s, my 5th rep of my 5th set should be an RPE 9 or harder. And then same thing for 3x3s. First week of 3x3s, I'll do something I know I can 3x3 very easily. Usually 10 to 20 pounds heavier than my last 5x5. On my last set, 4 to 5 reps, whatever, move up 5, 10, 15 pounds. Usually 10 pounds or less on my 3x3 jumps. And then on my 3x3s, my 4th week, last set, last rep, should be an RPE really closer to 10, which this time I got it right. I think I started my 3x3s with 460 this go around, and I ended on 490. And then I'll go to heavy singles and speed work, which I ended up cutting my singles this time. I only did 2 weeks of heavy singles, and then decided to take my last 2 weeks and do week 3. I just sort of did not really an AMRAP, but it was an AMRAP on bench, but just do some reps and stuff like that. I think I did 500 for 6 on squat, and then I did 600 for 3 singles, and static holds, just addressing a weakness there. If something's going to give, it's my grip. And then I'm taking a longer deload than usual this time. The weights have been heavier than they've ever been in any prep for me, so I do believe in auto regulation, and I was feeling pretty beat up, so I decided to extend my my deload a bit longer than I normally would going into the meet, so I feel good meet day. M. Anus, that's what I'm going to call you now. Advice I can give you for bulking. You know, it's as generic as eat more, dude. That's what you got to do. Find caloric dense food. I don't know. I have no context if you're a hard gainer, if you gain easy. I mean, if you gain weight easy, obviously you're going to want to track your calories and keep your surplus, you know, in check so you don't get complete fat ass. You know, and I'd try to stick with, you know, whole foods and stuff. If you're a hard gainer, I'd still try to base your diet around whole foods, but maybe throw in some, you know, dirty shit, some ice cream, some eggnog is the best bulker ever for hard gainers, in my opinion. Particularly Mayfield eggnog. I think I've made a video on it before, but it's almost 6,000 calories a gallon. So I don't know. Without context, that's the best I can do. Hope that helps. L-Train asks, I haven't seen too much overhead press work from you. Have you built your bench with very little direct shoulder work? I haven't heard you speak about shoulder impingement, rotator cuff injuries, etc. What do you recommend for shoulder health? What's the difference between a she-male and a tranny? Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried? Have you ever been probed by an alien? I don't do overhead work. In the off season, every now and then on a whim, I'll do it for 4 or 5 weeks. It is very, very light, like 40 to 50% weight for 15s and 20s. Bench is built by benching. If somebody tells you otherwise, they're a fucking idiot. Your bench, improving it will do more for your overhead press than your overhead press ever thought about doing for your bench. So yeah, I don't do OHPs a lot. I don't do a lot of direct shoulder work. My shoulders are pretty big. I think I'm going to show you a picture right now. You know, my bench press works a lot in my shoulders. I do a lot of upper back, and I think my shoulders indirectly benefit from that. And I do a lot of like lat pull downs, face pulls, rows, and stuff like that. Between that and bench pressing, you know, even though I'm not directly like attacking my shoulders, they get a lot of work in, so I don't really bother. Just my own philosophical thing. This is not something to take as science or advice. Heavy bench or heavy overhead. If you're a strongman, heavy overhead. If you're a powerlifter, do heavy bench. If you want to avoid injuries, stick to one or the other heavy. Use the other one as an accessory as necessary, but you know, that's my thing. So that's, I guess you could say that's what I recommend for shoulder health, is don't fucking overdo it. And whichever one you choose, obviously make sure you hammer in your technique. Difference between a she-male and a tranny. Well, there's a tranny in my car right now. No she-male in there. Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried? Your guess is as good as mine. Have you ever been probed by an alien? You'll have to pay to get answers for that, and I don't answer that for free. Jack Healy, what's your favorite lifting channel on the tube? Probably Brandon Campbell, being that I really don't watch a lot of lifting channels. It's pretty fucking boring. Thank you for watching my channel. I used to watch a lot back in the day, you know, try to make thirsty comments to get attention to my own channel. But as far as now, talk about bigger channels. I'll go on Blaha's channel for the comment section. I've started watching Alpha Destiny. I don't know. Some of his stuff looks kind of dumb, but the way he explains things, sometimes it makes sense. So, and of course, I've been on Eric Bugenhagen's channel a time or two, watching what he does. Again, at first I thought he was a complete fucking moron, but after listening to him talk about his reasoning for things, you know, it kind of makes sense now why he does what he does. I still, some of his stuff's but it's working for him. So I guess Brandon Campbell's my favorite. How to come back from a lower back injury. I definitely take things slow and make sure you are fully recovered before coming back. I'm not gonna pretend to be an expert and say what all you should be doing there. Strong core goes a long way. Lolik Bolik also asked, how did you get such a huge bench with high frequency, that 405? Yeah, you are doing the movement so often, but your still bench gains are out of this world. I did, back in the day, I used to bench 4 times a week even. And I went from 230 to 405 in about 9 months. Bench frequency really goes a long way. Bench pressing doesn't really tax your nervous system as much as squats or deadlifts, so you can get away with doing it more often. And how do you get better at bench pressing? You bench press more often. So yeah, frequency and volume both go a long way with the bench press. Now I will say, back when I was benching 4 times a week, I wasn't squatting or deadlifting. I didn't know what leg day was. I didn't know what powerlifting was. But I think even Brandon, he's benching. You benching 3 or 4 times a week, Brandon? I know you're benching with high frequency. Just got to be smart with it. Again, technique over everything. If your technique's not good, that's where injuries come from. It's really, really, really hard to overtrain yourself. Tushar, I can't pronounce your Indian last name. Why are you homo? I'm a power lifter. That's kind of synonymous, goes hand in hand. What was your bench when you first started, and how many years have you been lifting from? The very first time I ever touched the bench press, I benched 145 in 8th grade, so I was 13 or 14. I trained at 1 year in high school. I went from 145 to 275 in about 9 months. Didn't lift again for a couple years. I don't know, I was 22, I think. I bought a weight bench. That was when I started benching like 4 times a week, and I did 235 when I first got back into it, and then went up to 405 in about 9 months, and then took a couple more years off, and then started training, like serious powerlifting training. So first time I lifted, I was like 13, but there's been many gaps in there. If I added it up, was it 5, 6, probably 7 or 8 years total, with about half of that being bench only. Drunk One Kangaroo spammed me the questions. Thank you. Would you rather bang Mike Chain or Mike O'Hearn? Some other Mike? There's actually a Michael Bales who I would rather bang. I hope he sees this. I do you so hard, bro. In the end, does it even matter? No. What would you be if you weren't a walrus? I identify as a peregrine falcon. Thank you very much. Thank you for assuming my species. What do I do for a living? I'm an operations manager at an over-the-road trucking company. I really like my job. And what is your favorite meat? Crab legs, by far and away, is my favorite meat. And if we're talking land-dwelling animals, then I don't think nothing beats a good grass-fed ribeye steak. That said, I'm not a worldly man of many cultures, so I've not had to. I really want to try some Wagyu beef, but I've not had the pleasure of having that yet. So thank you guys for the questions. Maybe I should have let the question video marinate longer, but this is already going on, I think, 15 minutes now with the answers. So thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry I'm so boring. I'm not really sorry, though. Thanks for watching.